I am a yapper, and that's how I started my channel, yapping about books. But today I'm talking about all the books I have read in 2024. See, reading is one of the components of any language. I like to read, and reading helps me a lot with my fluency. The thing is that we know that, especially people who are learning English in India, spoken English, we are not able to find partners. And we are not able to find partners with whom we can communicate in English and practice English. But reading is something which can be used as an alternative. I'm not saying that only reading can make you a fluent speaker, but it will cover a lot of parts. You will be able to construct your ideas clearly, your vocabulary will improve, and of course the list of words are unending, but you will reach to a certain level where you won't have to google every time you're not able to understand a word. You will be able to guess the meaning in context of it, right? This is what I have been doing for the past 2 years, 2023 and 2024. I have read a lot of books, and along with that, I have recorded myself. Here is another example. These are the videos. I didn't upload them publicly, but I used to record myself almost every day. And I wasn't talking about just books, but about everything, whatever was going in my life. Not only it helped me with my English, but it also helped me in a manner that it was a kind of therapy for me. I sound mad right now, just talking to yourself. Where is it going to take you? I'm not a scientist that I'm documenting my days, but you will be able to learn about yourself a lot. I'm going to convince all of you to read at least 2 books from this list. I'll be talking about the language wise, how difficult it is, who should read them, highlights, why did I read them. So let's start with the first book, The Book Thief. The title of the book caught my attention. I wanted to know why the title of the book was The Book Thief, and boy, did I cry reading this book. It is one of the saddest book I have ever read. I started reading it on the very 1st January, and I read it so quickly, even though the book might look a bit thick, but it is just so easy to read. Language wise, I consider no matter whether you are a beginner, you can comprehend it. So if you are looking for some book which is easy to read and which will make reading a fun habit, this book will definitely convince you to read more books. So, and especially the point of view, this book is narrated by the point of view of death. Death is personified in this book, and it is about war, Germany, and it is about Nazis and Germany. So you should check this out. It's a fictional one. Most of these books are fictional, so don't expect any non-fiction from this list. Second, I love fantasy. So in January, I read The Lord of the Rings. The movies were my favorite, and as a child, I loved watching The Lord of the Rings. I remember watching Narnia, The Lord of the Rings with my uncles, and this is one of my fondest memories of my childhood, watching movies with my cousins, with my uncles. So reading them, it was nostalgic, and boy, Tolkien is master of writing, be it the world of fiction or anything. But I don't think I need to introduce the book to you, The Lord of the Rings. So if you are interested in fantasy, if you're looking for a world of magic, and the thing is that people avoid reading fiction, but you should try them, and especially Lord of the Rings. If your level is intermediate, and if you're looking for something fun to read at the same time, and you can learn a lot of things from this book, right? Going on an adventure, learning a new language. There is everything you ask for. And entertainment. This is freaking entertaining. So even if you haven't watched the movies, you should try Hobbit first, because it is so easy to read. You will get to know the writing style of him, but don't expect The Lord of the Rings to be as easy as the Hobbit, because the Hobbit was literally written for kids. David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. I know, you should avoid it. I read it only because of my interest in literature. I wanted to know about Charles Dickens because I had heard a lot of him when I was in my 2nd year of graduation. For me, the highlights from this book were the characters. This book is written in Bildungsroman genre. The story starts when David Copperfield is born and his life journey. It was amazing to read, especially to know about a particular character and to see him grow as a person and what he became. I loved this book. Whatever I have read, I have enjoyed most of them. So if you are looking for something challenging, at the same time character-centric, nothing but just one character and the surrounding of it, you should definitely check this out. Godan. Well, this book is not in English, but Hindi. The only Hindi book I have read, and this is one of my favorite reads from 2024. And actually, my video got a lot of attention when I talked about it. And I don't think Munshi Premchand needs an introduction. He is so popular in our country, and he is popular for a reason. His writing style is so easy to read, no matter whether you are interested in reading Hindi or not. Everyone should at least read this book once in their lifetime. This book is about the hierarchy in our culture, zamindars, workers, farmers. The beauty of Godan is it is timeless. It's a classic, and no matter which era you are reading at, you will be able to find things which you will be able to relate. And of course, this book is still relevant to our modern society. So if you are looking for an Indian author, want to read in Hindi, then this book is for you, Godan. I loved every part of this book. Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, I read it because, again, my interest in literature, I wanted to explore world literature, and Russian authors are so intriguing to read. I mean, they talk about all the human nature, emotions, in a manner that no matter which country you belong to, you will be able to find, something for you. And the universality of classics. I mean, this book is a classic and very difficult to read. So I would only recommend it to those who are at advanced level of learning English. And it could be a long read. I know it has around 835 pages. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but the texts are really small. So for me, the highlights from this book was Lenin, one of the characters. On the surface, it might look like a love story, but it deals with a lot of things. And when it comes to Russian authors, they will make you question about your life. All those existential questions. So if you are looking for some real challenge, then definitely this book is for you. Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I'm recording this video in morning. In my neighborhood, you will find a lot of hens. And I think it's not a farmhouse, but still. While I was reading Anna Karenina, I was in Delhi. And there I got a lot of books. And from there, I got the series of Murakami, the books of Murakami, and Kafka on the Shore. First of all, language-wise, it is very easy to read, but I will not recommend to everyone. Only if you are an adult, you should read it, because there are a lot of things, a lot of serious stuff. But at the same time, this book is a page turner. Even though this book has around 500 pages, I was able to read it within a week. I decided to read Kafka on the Shore was only because of the title itself. Kafka. Kafka is one of my favorite authors, so I was intrigued by it. And Murakami, I wanted to read it for such a long time because all of those Indian booktubers, Indian reels, Murakami is so popular, and now I understand why he's so popular. So language-wise, this is really easy to read. Now, this is not a novel, but a collection of short stories of Manto and Ishmat Chugtai. I got this book from Fakir Chand, the bookstore in Delhi. I was not expecting this book to be so expensive, but I really love the cover of this book. So I had to have this book. I think if you haven't heard of Chugtai, you must have heard about Manto. He was from India, but after partition, he shifted to Pakistan. But his writing is so good. I mean, when I was reading the short stories, I was able to feel a kind of nostalgic thing, like I was in that era of partition. I could see the tension even in the short stories, and I'm planning to read. I have been planning for such a long time to read more from him, but this book is a great introduction for both of the authors, Manto and Ishmat Chugtai. So try, and it is language-wise, I would say intermediate and beginner, both can read it. So give it a try. Now, I would say one of my all-time favorite books, The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Why did I read it? It was not because of the name this time, but because of the author, Fyodor Dostoevsky. I was introduced to him in 2023 when I read Crime and Punishment, and I knew right away that I'm going to love his works. And this was, if you know Jordan Peterson, he talks about this book a lot. Lex Friedman is somebody whom I look up to, and even he talks about this book. They both talked about this book, The Brothers Karamazov. And of course, I wanted to read more Dostoevsky in 2024, so I thought, let's try something heavy. So language-wise, this is one of the most challenging books I have ever read. But at the same time, if you are interested in something, you don't care about the challenges, right? I read it in May, and it took me more than a month to complete this book because this is a heavy one. You can see the text. It's a big book. It's a heavy book. So if you are interested in, human psyche, how we all are flawed. There is something about his writing that it is universally appealing. Of course, every classic is universally appealing. But when it comes to Fyodor Dostoevsky, you will be able to see the flawed within you. The characters, his characters are highlights of his books. You will be able to find a lot of common in you. You will see a lot of characters from Dostoevsky around you, and the way we hide those faces is highlight for me. Yes, I don't read fiction all the time. I do. So this is an autobiography of APJ Abdul Kalam, Wings of Fire. Most of us are familiar with his face, APJ Abdul Kalam, and I have always been fascinated because school. I wanted to know about his personal life, so I thought reading a biography would be nice. But when I read this book, it was more of his work, and I guess he didn't have much personal life. He was so much into his work that he only talked about his work. So if you're looking for real motivation, somebody to get inspiration from, then APJ Abdul Kalam is the man. And this book, language-wise, I would say, if you are at intermediate level, then this book is for you. This book is the whole collection of Franz Kafka, who is one of my another favorite authors, because I love to read depressing stuff. I haven't read the whole book. I have read Metamorphosis and I read The Trial, and it is another weird book. Whenever you are reading Franz Kafka, you will find the term alienation in his book. The Trial was another typical Kafka read. Language-wise, it is also challenging. I would say intermediate. If you are looking for something bizarre, at the same time thought-provoking, then you should read Franz Kafka. Read anything from him. I still have to read a lot from this book. Another Murakami in the list. This time it is Norwegian Wood. And I really loved Kafka on the Shore, so I wanted to read more from him. And again, this was another easy read in context of language. It was entertaining, bizarre at the same time. Whenever you are reading Murakami, you don't expect to be it fun. It is fun to read, but at the same time, you will ask a lot of questions. Should I be reading this book? And of course, if you're not an adult, stay away from this book. So Murakami is somebody, if you are looking to improve your English, if you are an adult, then this guy will help you to get your comprehension better. And of course, you will be entertained. You will be asking a lot of questions at the same time. Moral questions, theme-wise, it was really heavy. It deals with a lot of stuff. I'll put down here. The Great Gatsby. This is my least favorite book of this year. And I don't know, it's a very thin one. Language-wise, it was challenging again. But at the same, it's a classic, but I wasn't able to bond with this book in a manner that I have done with all the books from this year. 1,000 Splendid Suns. Before that, I was introduced to Khalid Hosseini by reading The Kite Runner. I read this year, but I don't have the copy because I have given it to my neighbor and he's not picking up my phone. So here I am. The Kite Runner is a great introduction to Khalid Hosseini. He writes about Afghanistan war in a fictional manner. He will make you cry. This book was even sadder than that one, 1,000 Splendid Suns. And this is my favorite from Khalid Hosseini. I will just say two things. Writing revolves around Afghanistan and the war. The way he's able to build a fictional world with the characters, the emotions, you will be so attached to those characters that you will be not able to put this book down. Next one is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I decided to read it because of its popularity. I don't often read because of the popularity, but the TV series is adapted from this book. It's played by one of my favorite actors and I had seen a lot of it. So instead of watching that TV show, I decided to read. Normal People is easy to read language-wise, but I don't recommend it to everyone, to adults, because it deals with such heavy themes. Again, I'm going to write it down, but those heavy themes are here. It deals with mental health and about conversation, relationship, and Sally Rooney. I haven't read much from her, but this year I'm looking forward to read more from her. But her books are expensive. White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and I haven't talked about this book in detail. So I'm planning to reread this book because I wasn't able to enjoy the book for the first time because I thought that the main character was too much of an incel. Julius Ceaser. And another difficult text which I read. If I feel proud of reading something this year, I would say The Brothers Karamazov and Julius Ceaser, because I have been avoiding William Shakespeare for such a long time. And when I finally picked up this book, I realized that maybe it is not too difficult to read. You just have to pay some extra attention. If you're looking for something new, Julius Caesar, read it. Brave New World, another great book, another great classic. but at the same time, this is language wise really challenging. So, only if you are an advanced learner, you should check this out. The Catcher in the Rye, and one of my favorite reads of the year of this year. The Catcher in the Rye is so easy to read. I recommend it to everyone, no matter which age group you belong to and no matter which level you are. Beginners, this book is for you. And I have talked about this book recently. So The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger is one of my favorites of this year, and language wise, it is the easiest book of the year. My favorite of this year, The Way of King, Stormlight Archives, my favorite read of the year. This is an ongoing series of 5 books, and the author has planned 5 more books. So it's going to be a long journey reading this one, and I'm loving this one. I had been trying to read this book for such a long time, but again, books are expensive. But finally, I was able to make some money, and I ordered this book, the whole series. I've got 3 books in that box set, and The Way of Kings was a great introduction. It's a fantasy world, and I love fantasy, especially the world building, the starting part of any fictional world. And characters are my favorite, and this book, it deals with characters a lot. Currently, I'm reading this one. By the way, I'm recording this video on 16th of December, so I'm in the middle of the second book, Words of Radiance, and this is my favorite series of the year. And language wise, it is very easy to read, but this is a heavy one. Like, each book has around 1300 pages, so you will have to mentally prepare yourself for the thickness. But believe me, this is a page turner. I'm going to make separate video talking about Brandon Sanderson, the series, and why I'm enjoying it. The last, again, another Russian author, Anton Chekhov, and this is the short story collection. I haven't read the whole book. Please let me know if you have read any of these books, or if I have convinced you to read any of it. It has been a great year of reading, and I'm looking forward to read more and learning more. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment, and if you want to support my channel, please subscribe and share it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video.